What's going on, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the link. Fair play here, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, have I missed you guys. Yes, I have. I know y'all, the few of y'all that care, have been wondering. I mean, it ain't but a few of y'all subscribers out here for me, but to those of you that care, this is what I've been doing for the past month. Every year between mid-September or the beginning, like the first week or so of September and the end of November, I have to perform year-end closeout and New Year startup responsibilities on my job. Yes, you can imagine what I do for a living. And sometimes that can be extremely time-consuming. And so in the midst of me working these long hours and trying to do other things, once I get home, I really just don't feel like sitting down anymore. Sitting another 30, 45 minutes doing a video. So I haven't had much motivation to do it because of all the stress that I'm usually under during this time of year. But I got back on here tonight because I just wanted to touch bases with you guys and let you know, yes, I still love doing videos and whatnot. And I did watch the remainder of the season of Greenleaf, just so you know. I did stop at episode 12, which was about 12 about a month ago. That was right after I got back from Las Vegas in September. And I'm not going to sit up here and try to bore you guys with a full review of episodes 13 through 16, which were very good, by the way. I hated to see Greenleaf go off, and I am in anticipation of season 3 returning next year, I think in March. Oh, we got to wait 6 months, but they did give us a good season in season 2. And I kind of just wanted to give my take on what's going on with everybody on the show. So if y'all just bear with me and let me put my 2 cents in it, and I can feel like I have completed the season, because I didn't want to just not finish talking about it. I didn't want to not mention it. And I know it's late, but I know that there are some people who still like to watch reviews, because I watch other people's reviews all the time, like a month or 2 later, simply because I like the way that they do their review. And I hope you feel the same way about these that I do. So anyway, I'm just going to probably do just a brief recap of all 4 episodes. I'm going to try. It may take me 2 videos, but I'm going to try to do it in one. So y'all just bear with me, okay? Okay, let me just go ahead and get started. Now, where we left off with episode 12 was, this was the episode where Basie did that big sermon about inclusivity, talking about the gays and including them as part of the church and its entire functions. And we all know that he was doing this to lure Grace in, trying to get her basically to turn on Calvary. He was doing this to piss off the bishop, okay? Also, this is the episode where things came to a head for Carissa, where she demanded that Jacob get a job, okay? Some things started going on between Zora and Isaiah. This is the episode where you begin to see that you begin to get confirmation that he is definitely going to be abusive to her, which we found out throughout the rest of the season. Grace is still trying to cope and deal with the part she played in what Mac did. And we're going to find out in episode 13 that she's going to get closure on the situation. We're going to find out what the problem was. Because I've known this whole season and all last season that Grace was keeping a secret from us. And she reveals it in episode 13, okay? Episode 13 entitled Silence and Loneliness. Now, as far as Gigi is concerned, she's been having dreams. And she was having a dream when this episode first came on. She was out running on the Greenleaf property. And she runs into this teenage girl runs by her in a white dress. And when this girl runs by her, the next thing she sees is Mac walking up on her in a suit, which I knew. So she had to be dreaming or having a vision or something. But he startled her. And the only thing she could say was, "I didn't tell anybody." And he told her, "Good girl, good girl." So as he's walking up on her, she wakes up out of this scary sleep. And I was like, oh, okay. So she's having another nightmare. All right. So throughout the episode, you see her going back and forth to this site out in these woods on the property, okay? And we're going to find out later what's up with that. Well, what led up to her redemption, deliverance, or her closure in this episode, because I'm going to try to go and get her out the way. Sophia, when she woke up that morning, After Sophia had tried to invite her father to her cotillion, but he told her he could not come. Of course, he was a little bit disappointed she was a little disappointed that he couldn't make it, but she turns around and she asks Sophia about her relationship with Darius. What's up with y'all? And Gigi tells her, well, we're taking a little break right now. And Sophia reminds her, she says you'd have to actually have a relationship to make one work. So even Sophia realizes or notices that she's playing with that man. And Sophia also reminds Gigi that she's got a date with her mother to participate in this event at the nursing home called Day of Beauty. This is something Lady May, one of her many events that she does on an annual basis. And so Gigi forgot that she had to go to that. And you could tell that she's not really interested in going because she's not really interested, as we know, in probably spending that much time with Lady May. But of course, reluctantly, she shows up. She goes to get her mother. Her mother's getting these bags together, making sure she's gotten all the gift bags for the women at the nursing home. And so Gigi goes and helps her. And when they get to the nursing home and everybody's sitting down getting their nails done, because remember now, it's a day of beauty. So they're having the elderly people are having different things done to them beauty-wise that, of course, May is sponsoring. And so while she's doing all of this, Gigi is sitting there talking to an older lady who's getting her nails done. And as they have a conversation, the lady explains to her, tells her a story about how there was a nurse there who mistreated her, who was not talking to her right. She was just not treating her right. And she told Gigi, she said, you know, you just can't let people treat you any kind of way. Because when this lady was mistreating her, she told on him. She told the management on him, and they fired her. And they brought her another person in that treated her better. And Gigi got a revelation in that when she told her, you can't just let people treat you any kind of way. And so Gigi got a revelation like, oh, you are so right. And she told her she did the right thing to tell on the lady. And this is where we begin to find out what the issue was with Gigi. Also, in episode 12, I believe it was, that was the episode where Darius told Gigi what happened, the reason why he doesn't go to church anymore, because his wife got killed in a car accident. And he asked the preacher why, and the preacher told him don't question God. So he's been through with church and anything got something to do with church ever since then. Okay, so anyway, so after he explained and he told her what happened there, Gigi decided that she was going to tell Darius what happened between her and Mac and why she was going through what she was going through, and what this was the secret she was keeping from him. She let him know one night that she was out, Mac, one day back when she was a teenager, that he lured her off to this abandoned military hideout hole out on the property. And he got out there and he tried to touch on her like he did Faith. He tried it with her, but she ran from him, and he didn't get she got away from him. So he couldn't molest her. And she kept it a secret all those years. She left when she was about 18 years old, never came back. And while she was gone, he did it to her younger sister. So she feels responsible because she knows that if she had told somebody what he tried to do to her, that probably would have protected Faith from getting molested. So she's been carrying around all of this guilt all this time. And so that's what she had to come to terms with. She went back and forth to this abandoned place, and she had to actually face it. So that girl she saw in her initial dream was her. Okay, running from Mac. So she had to deal with that. She had to come to terms with it. She had to finally tell somebody, and she had to forgive herself for what happened. And you see by the end of the episode that Grace has released this thing, finally. So much so that her relationship with Darius changes after that. Okay, so that's what went on with Gigi. As far as Bishop May and Clarissa are concerned, Clarissa, of course, she wanted Jacob to be something big and bad and all this stuff. So she went to, after all this stuff is happening, she wanted Jacob to get a job, and she's tired of being broke. She's tired of spending all her money trying to fix up that rat trap, that money pit that they're living in. So she started telling everything in episode 12. Well, in episode 13, she's still spilling all the beans on Basie. She telling him everything about his gambling habit, how he went under the dummy name of somebody named Bass Reeves, and how he was stealing money from the church, and that she had documented proof from the church's accountant, but the accountant asked her not to tell anybody because she didn't want to be implicated in any of Basie's crimes. So all this information that Clarissa is giving the bishop and May is giving them the upper hand. And you find out that May and the bishop want Basie to go to prison. Okay, especially May. And May wants to take over Triumph anyway. All right. But Clarissa has told them, she says she feels like because of what she's done, because of what her and Jacob did for Basie by spending that money to get him out of debt, even though he's still $250,000 in debt, she feels like Jacob should get the church. He needs to turn the church over to Jacob. He deserves it. So they have hashed a plan for the bishop to go over to Triumph, confront Basie, and tell him that to resign from the church, turn it over to Jacob, and all he'll do is a little bit of jail time. Okay, so they was offering him this quote unquote sweet deal, all right, to keep him from going to prison for the rest of his life or whatever, because it's a crime to steal money from the church. And so, of course, what Clarissa doesn't know is that Lady May and Bishop, or Lady May, has plans to take Triumph from Jacob even. So it's still not going to be theirs, all right? So anyway, they make this agreement. Carissa's happy to hear it because all she wants is for Jacob to get promoted in the church, okay? But like I said, May is slick, so she better watch out. What happens after that? And that's basically what happened. Now, when the bishop went over to talk to Basie, he was on the church talking to an elder trying to sell a painting. No, had he gotten there at this point? I can't remember, but he was on the phone talking to another elder. He's trying to sell that expensive painting that Tasha has in her office, the one like Lady May has. And he's talking about gambling and lottery tickets and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and the bishop walked in. He don't never knock when he go in there. You know, he just walk around him in. And he tells Basie that he knows everything. He knows about the gambling. He knows what he's been doing, how he's been spending up the church's money. He knows about Bass Reeves, that alias name. Of course, Basie denies it. The bishop lets him know he got documented proof. At first, Basie thought that Jacob had told him all this, but the bishop never confirmed that because, of course, we know Jacob didn't tell it. Clarissa told it. So when he tells him everything, Basie's shocked that he knows so much. And he starts accusing the bishop of causing all his problems that he got in his life, starting with his daddy getting burned up in that church years ago. So he done blamed the bishop for that. He tries to throw the bishop out of his church. The bishop tells Basie, either you're going to publicly resign and turn the church over to Jacob, or you're going to prison. So Basie, of course, is visibly shaken, even when he threw the pastor out. But you can tell he's scared. And he accuses the bishop of blackmailing him and calls him a peacock. And then he puts him out again. He going to tell him, go on, Spectre, get. It was kind of funny in that scene. So anyway, the bishop leaves because the bishop know he had the upper hand. Then the next thing you see, Basie was on the phone with somebody trying to sell, like I said, that painting. He was trying desperately to sell that painting for money when Victor, he was that gambling goon, shows up. He comes in there, he actually beats Basie up this time. The first time he came over there, Basie made a deal with him in episode 12, but this time, he beat him up. I'm talking about he beat the brakes off, beat him all in his forehead. He beat him everywhere, except I wonder why Basie didn't have no black eyes when he got through him. He just bleeding from the forehead and all from the chin and everything. It was kind of funny, but I tried not to laugh, y'all. But anyway, so he was sitting up in the office. Tasha found him all beat up and bloody and stuff. She started crying and screaming and all this kind of stuff. And telling him she begged him to stop and she wanted to know why he did not stop gambling when she asked him to. And he agreed. She told him to go ahead on and while she was in there crying and everything, she left and she went and got the bishop and Clarissa. And they came back and the bishop presented his offer again. And because of Tasha begging and pleading, Basie agreed to turn the church over to Jacob, okay? But I know Basie, and I know Basie wasn't going to go down easy, okay? But he did agree to turn the church over and everything, all right? So that was a good thing for him. So that's what happened there. Jacob doesn't know that Clarissa had made this deal with the bishop and Lady May. She was going to try to sneak that on him. He had no idea that Basie was getting ready to offer him the church at all. Let's see. So Clarissa finally tells Jacob about her plan. Jacob gets mad because he asked Clarissa a long time ago not to tell his parents about the deal that he made with Basie on last season and what it entails. So Clarissa tells him she says, Jacob, you're going to thank me later. And Basie calls Jacob while he's talking to her, and he convinces him because Jacob actually goes over to Triumph to talk to Basie. And Jacob resists at first. He said, man, I told you I don't want to be the pastor of that church. I don't want the church. But Basie sweet talks him like he does. He's very convincing. When Jacob goes to see him in person, Basie convinces him, you need to take this. You my brother. I trust you. And ultimately, Jacob agrees. And Jacob finally feels like he's doing something real for the first time in his life with his own church. He's doing the very thing he said he wouldn't do. He said he would never go back to doing church like that. So Jacob is already going against his own consciousness by doing this. So y'all know trouble going to be coming for Jacob, all right? They didn't show all the trouble this season, but we know in season 3, Jacob going to have a mess on his hand, okay? Clarissa going to hate she pushed him up to doing that. That's what I think. Anyway, Jacob finally agrees to take over the church, all right? So back at the parsonage, Jacob goes back and tells Clarissa that he agreed to take over Triumph, and he told her how everything's going to go down on the following Sunday. Clarissa's pleased with his decision, and of course, Jacob wants Clarissa to pray with him for God's help and guidance, and that she'll stand by him because he wants to make sure that he's doing the right thing. So they pray. Now, Clarissa was acting strange when he asked her to pray with him. She was like, what you want me to pray for? She's like, why? What we need to pray for? I couldn't understand why she didn't understand that as the first lady of a church now. She didn't understand why this man wanted her to pray with him. She's so sneaky and cunning. I never did like Clarissa. She's very controlling. She can be sweet at times, but she's very controlling and sneaky, all right? Now, while Jacob was talking to Clarissa that first time, this is what I left off. When they were talking the first time, when she first told him that what the plan was, and when Basie called him to tell him to take the church, Zora came home and she rushes to the back without speaking to him because she don't want them to see that knot that she done got on her forehead. So she goes to the bathroom and cover it up. And the way she got that knot on her forehead, going back to her situation with her and Isaiah. So Clarissa was in the car with Isaiah one day, all right? And she's asking him about the cotillion and his tuck situation. Now, he has no intention of going at all, but he pretends like he does. But during the time they were in the car, he gives Zora 2 tickets to some concert that takes place on the same night as the cotillion. Now, how rude is that? But she doesn't want to go because she actually wants to attend the cotillion. This is what she's been waiting for, all right? So he asks her who she's going to go with if he doesn't take her. And she tells him, somebody, I don't know, somebody. So he gets mad and he throws on brakes so hard that this girl plummets forward and hits her forehead on the dashboard, causing a bruise. And then he reminds her that he told her to put her seatbelt on right. He even blames her and tells her, you did it to yourself. And really she did, but yet he did it. He did it. But if she had had that seatbelt on right, she wouldn't have propelled forward like that. But he's still responsible because he did it on purpose, okay? So she goes off on him and she makes him take her home. Now he tells her that he's going to take her to the cotillion, all right, at this point. And I don't even know why she wanted to go with him at that point, because I would have hit him in his face. She was better than me because when I was her age, his head would have been wrapped around that steering wheel. His arms and everything would have been tied in a knot around that steering wheel. Okay, so she didn't come up in the era I came up in the 90s, all right? I was in high school in the late 90s, and I didn't play when I was in high school, okay? But anyway, getting on to Charity and Jabari, okay? Oh, and let me say, Gigi was glad that she actually spent time with May. She was glad she went, all right? She turned out being glad because that's when she got her revelation and all the, what she needed to do, what she had to do to get free of Mac by telling Darius, who she chose to reveal this to, about her secrecy. So it was a good trip for her. She did get something out of it. Anyway, let me get on to Charity and Jabari, because I've already talked long enough on this episode. Charity is in Nashville to work on some music for a well-known artist. And she looks real nice in this episode. She dressed all confidential, looking all confidential, got on her off-the-shoulder shirt, real professional and sexy at the same time, y'all. Jabari is still trying to convince her to move to Nashville. But Charity suggests staying at Jabari's house that night instead of in a hotel that he's paying for. But he objects to it. And he thinks about it, though. I mean, she's trying to stay at his house because you know what she want to do. The only reason she's even really being involved with this tour thing right now, not tour, but the only reason she's really going to Nashville like this because she wants to be with Jabari. That's the main reason for it. But anyway, he thought about it, but he objected to it. So Jabari, the gospel artist, the customer, I forget her name, and Charity are listening to Charity's song that she wrote. The artist likes it, but she still feels like it needs some work done to it. It needs a little tweaking. So this visibly upsets Charity, not Jabari, because he realizes that the singer, this gospel artist, she's the customer. So whatever she wants, she's supposed to get because she's paying for it. Charity can't understand that. And that's why she gets on my nerve. Charity, I don't care much for her character. She's so shallow and dense. Sometimes I wonder why she's even there. But I know somebody got an airhead in their family everywhere, okay? But she got mad because the girl wanted to tweak her song. She thought the lady was supposed to just pay for it and take it just like it was. But anyway, Jabari reminds her she's the customer, so we need to do what she wants. So they finally finished touching up Charity's song, and the artist is pleased with the finished product. She invites Charity to a scheduled dinner party that they're having that night, and she wants Charity to be the guest of honor. Charity accepts. Jabari kisses the artist on the cheek and tells her goodbye. Charity starts whining and complaining to Jabari once again about how the artist amended her song. And like I was saying before, Jabari has to explain to her how things work with writers versus customers and how awesome it is that she'll have a song on somebody's album because she doesn't get that, okay? Like I said, Charity is this, all right? So she starts then talking about their relationship and asking him if he likes her. And he's like, yeah, I like. She's like, no, but I mean, do you really like me? And she wants to know what's going on between them. I mean, she actually got a little jealous because he kissed the other lady on the cheek. And Jabari just tells her, he say, look, I just want to finish this business we got going on. I want to close this deal before we start talking about romance. Charity is dumb, y'all. She gets on my nerves. She's pretty, but she gets on my nerves. I can't say that enough, all right? And he promises her that as soon as everything is done, we'll talk about you and me after we get through this business, which is what he should have done. She's frustrated, of course. So the next day after dinner, though, Charity and Jabari have the talk, and he finally tells her that he does like her. I mean, he likes her like her. He just didn't want to be cavalier about someone that had so much going on, meaning her baby, this recent divorce and everything, and he was being careful around her. She understands it, and he finally kisses her, and they have this really hot and heavy kiss, okay? So, and that's the end of that particular situation with her and Jabari, okay? Y'all, I want to make sure I don't leave anything. I know I'm all over the place. All over the place. Let me see. If I don't want to leave anything out here. Bishop and May. May is not trying to waste any time with Jacob getting triumph and has no sympathy or compassion for Basie at this point. She wants to know if the bishop got anything in writing from Basie when he agreed to resign, okay? But not yet, because he doesn't think it's going to be easy to get a notary to sign off on such a shady deal. But May wants this thing done and over with. I mean, she wants Basie in prison and she wants that church, okay? The bishop agrees to turn Basie into the police after church on the following Sunday. So Sunday morning comes, all right? The bishop tells Sophia that he'll gladly escort her to the cotillion in place of her father, and she's happy about that. He won't be preaching at Calvary that Sunday because he's going to see Jacob being installed as the new pastor of Triumph. This is the Sunday where Basie is going to give the church to him. Sophia can't go, of course, because she has to go do her little saints class. Gigi can't go either for some reason. I don't think Gigi really been going to church that much ever since what happened. She feels like people are judging her. Anyway, Isaiah and some girl has the church rocking that Sunday morning at Triumph. This good song, this good music. The bishop, Lady Mae, Zora, Clarissa, Jacob, and all of them are there waiting on the installment. So Basie finally gets up to tell everybody that he was resigning and turning Triumph over to Jacob. The congregation is in an uproar and stunned that Jacob is his replacement. Now Tasha is devastated even though she knew about it. Jacob is still afraid and skeptical, and you can tell this. The congregation applauded their acceptance when Jacob gets up to thank Basie for his fiery speech. Jacob stood before the church like King David, honey, in all of his glory. So after church, but you can see Tasha was sitting there crying. She was upset about it. It hurt her. After church, Tasha is sitting in Basie's office when May and the bishop show up looking for Basie. She tells them that Basie ran off because he was not going to prison. So he left. He did not hold up his end of the bargain as far as jail was concerned. He was supposed to turn himself in, but he left. The bishop couldn't understand why he left Tasha behind because she's so loyal to him and everything. But Tasha told him he wanted her. She told him he wanted her to go, but she didn't want to go. They thought she knew where he was headed, but she told him she doesn't know, and she's telling the truth. She said she tried to get him to stay, but Basie can't stand being confined, so jail is not where he was going. He asked her to go with him, like I said, but she refused to go. Tasha goes off to meet with the elders and staff at the send-off reception that they had planned for Basie. She had to make up some kind of excuse to tell them about Basie. At this point, Lady Mae, now, she moved fast, honey. She was ready to claim it. She wants to decorate Jacob's new office. She forgetting he got a wife, so she just want to take over. So she want to decorate his office, spruce it up a little bit. Lionel Jeffrey calls the bishop on his cell phone. You remember he tried to call May in the last episode, but she didn't have time to talk to him. At that point, she said she was going to call him back. But he called the bishop to tell him that he desperately needs to talk to him. There was somebody in the car with Jeffries. I thought it looked like it was. May looking nervous because she probably think he finna tell the bishop something about her and him. So once again, Gigi goes back. I told you she kept going back to that wooded area. And she went back to that hideout just to look and get some grips. To come to grips with what happened. So this is the end of the episode. And she goes back to that part and she winds up back on the Greenleaf main property. And she looks around smiling. And you can tell she was finally at peace because she confronted her demons. Okay, she confronted this issue. And the episode goes off like that. So you got all this stuff going on. Jacob has been given the church. Basie done left and ran off somewhere. Tasha's upset, crying, devastated. Zora and Isaiah, things are getting more and more intense between them. He's becoming more and more abusive like abusers do. And everything is just really, really just kind of up in the air with the two of them. And but I hope the girl, I keep saying this, I hope she don't wind up pregnant. Okay, if he beating her up and trying to control her like that, there's no telling what he'll do to try to keep her, y'all. So anyway, that's the end of that episode. The next episode, of course, was episode 14, The Father's Will. Y'all, it's so much. It's hard to be brief because I got so many notes. But anyway, try to be brief. This is the episode where Lionel shows up. He shows up, and what he wanted to tell the Greenleafs is that he has run into Kevin. He found Kevin, all right? Kevin is down in Alabama with Aaron. Aaron is down in Alabama working on some non-profit thing because he's working for Lionel Jeffrey. He's working for his daddy. And he's been sent down to Alabama to work on something. And Kevin, somehow, some kind of way, even though Kevin wasn't even talking to Aaron when he left, some kind of way, Kevin winds up with Aaron. And the way Jeffrey found out was because he went down to see Aaron one morning when he thought he could catch him down here in Montgomery. And when he went to his apartment, Aaron came to the door and he was acting real funny. And he realized that Kevin was in his apartment. And Aaron only has a 1-bedroom. And Aaron tells him that he came down for the weekend. So he got to talking to Aaron and he found out that Kevin's been coming there every weekend. Okay? So he came back to tell the bishop and Lady Mae all about this. So they going together. It looks like Kevin and Aaron are in a relationship. I don't know what made Kevin go down there to Aaron, because when he left, he was still mad and hurt about Charity. So I didn't understand that, but I'm sure it's more to this story, and I hope we find out what's going on, if he really wants Aaron or is he just using Aaron, okay? I kind of feel like Kevin is using Aaron right now, okay? But anyway, so now in the last episode, the bishop kind of promised Gigi that he was going to think about being inclusive of gay people in Calvary like Triumph is going to do. So when Lionel Jeffries comes to tell him about Aaron and Kevin, because apparently Lionel didn't know his son was gay either, he's upset about it and he wants him to change. And he's telling the bishop that he wants him to talk to him because he know the bishop used to be on his side. Lady Mae is on Jeffries' side, and he know the bishop used to be against homosexuality too. So he wants him to talk to him. He's like, man, I know you got to talk to him. Please talk to him. But the bishop is like, he done made a promise to Gigi that he was going to think about being more inclusive, and now this. So how is this going to affect his promise to Gigi? We don't know at this point, okay? They show Clarissa and Jacob being real sexual and frisky these days, you know. And his first day on the job, she done pleasured him, you know, like a wife does from time to time. And she decides on his first day of work when he go into his staff meeting that she wants to go too, because she wants everybody to know that she's the first lady, and she wants them to get that, and she wants them to see her face. And Jacob was like, you right, so come on down. I'm like, so she gonna go down to the church house with him that morning. She, like I said, she called in late from work, okay? Charity is back at home. She's in there playing with her baby. She gets a call from Jabari. Jabari calls to tell her that Tamla Mann wants her to go on tour with her. She's really excited and everything about it. And so you see her get real excited, all right? But you don't know at this point what Tamla Mann wanted with her, all right? Like I said, so Aaron then came back to Memphis. Because his dad knows, and I'm sure he knew his daddy was going to tell the bishop all about him and Kevin. So he then came back to Memphis, actually came back to Calvary. And he was talking to the bishop about how Kevin is having a really hard time. And they're about to go into this meeting that the bishop had set up between him and Jeffrey so they could talk about it. So the bishop was going to be his mediator. Okay? Remember I told you Jeffrey wanted him to talk to him. He wanted him to help Aaron change his mind about being gay. So they get in there. And but before they go in, Aaron tells the bishop, he said, you know, I can't not be gay. And he wants him to tell his father, Lionel Jeffries, that he shouldn't treat him that way, and that he's been treating him since he found out. And he used Jacob as an example to the bishop to gain his empathy. The bishop doesn't really agree, but he does assure Aaron that everything will work out. He said, let's go into this meeting. Bishop is playing the mediator between Jeffries and Aaron, and he tells them to let God guide them in their discussion and their decision. Jeffrey throws scripture at Aaron. Aaron tells him, I know the scripture, and all this kind of stuff. And Aaron keeps bringing up judgment and the love of God, but Jeffrey says his mind made up. He speaks out on both. Bishop at this point is torn. He's speaking up for Aaron, and he's speaking up on the behalf of Jeffries at the same time. So he's torn on this issue, but it seems that he's more in favor of what Aaron has going on. He's favoring Aaron's plight a little bit more. And he actually asked Jeffries who would choose to be gay, is what he said. But Jeffrey's mind is set. He's set like flint that he's against it. He wants him to change. He needs to stop this. So that meeting really doesn't get them anywhere, okay? So the next morning, Gigi and May are having breakfast when Charity comes down real excited holding the baby, and she tells them about the good news that Jabari gave them about Tamla Mann. Tamla Mann wants her to sing backup on her tour. And of course, it's a 10-week tour. It's a national tour for 10 weeks. Now, even though Jabari offered to pay for a nanny, she wants to take Marcel, the maid, because she's the only one she trusts as somebody from her family. She wants to take Marisol with her. But May didn't want her to take Marisol because Marisol is the maid. She wanted to take her for a little while, but Lady May reluctantly agreed to part with Marisol if she agrees to go with Charity. She told Charity, you go ahead on and ask her. Jacob and Clarissa, they've been shown around the church by some girl named Brittany. No, is her name Brittany? Brittany Weaver, I think her name is. She's the treasurer. She tells Clarissa that Tasha's office, which is going to be hers, is right next to Jacob's. Clarissa seems aggravated with the fact that Tasha's office is right next to Jacob. Because when Tasha came over to their house one point, well, anyway, I'm moving ahead of myself. Anyway, Clarissa's aggravated with that. And so this treasurer, Brittany, asked about and suggests that they keep Tasha hired on as head of music because she can sing really well. And Jacob says that they are there to help Tasha out as much as they can. Clarissa looks at him like he's crazy. And when they get to Jacob's office, which is Basil's old office, it's been touched by May already. Jacob tells Clarissa that Brittany is the treasurer, not his assistant. Jacob sits down at the pastor's desk, and Clarissa is so proud and pleased. Clarissa told Brittany to send Tasha to see her. They soon have their staff meeting. When Jacob tells them all that he's not going to change, he tells all of them that he's not going to change anything. He says if it's not broke, let's not fix it. Now, this pleases Tasha, and it seems to upset Clarissa because she's got plans to change as much as she can. She wants to put her mark on that church like a lot of first ladies do, okay? She and Jacob are on 2 different pages with their vision for that church, okay? Jacob tells them that the only thing he'll be doing differently is bringing some of the people from the outside that he met while doing the Real Church of Memphis ministry, working to the Triumph Sheepfold. And these are a lot of homeless people that he wants to bring in because he used to feed them. Brittany looks kind of funny when he says this. You can tell that she's not in favor of anything that Jacob is doing, and you're going to find that out as the season progresses, okay? So this is what's going on. And I need to say this. A lot of times in churches, and I knew this was going to be bad for business. And we're going to see it unfold, I'm sure, in season 3. When a situation like this where another pastor takes over a church, and especially under this kind of circumstances, a lot of times the people that are remaining, the employees that were left there, they're not going to be as warm and inviting in most cases to the new pastor as they were to the old one, especially when they don't know what really went down, okay? And a lot of times you hate to fire people, but at some point you kind of have to bring your own staff in because you want loyalty. And I didn't understand this until I started working for the government. When people work for the government, I understand why when one governor leaves and the new governor comes in, he pretty much not fires, but the old people leave. And they had the understanding, these people usually appointed people, and they have the understanding that when the new governor comes, we have to leave. Our jobs are gone because the new governor usually brings his own people in. He has to bring people in that's loyal to him. And I know this is not government, but the church is an organization and it's governed similar to regular government. So usually when a new pastor comes in, he brings in his own particular staff. He may not get rid of the people at the bottom, but the people on the board and certain key positions, he usually replaces them. So I'm not saying he should get rid of Tasha, but some things would definitely have to change because that was her husband's church. So it's going to be some ill feelings. You know, you just have to be careful, and it's going to come out later. So anyway, let's see. So May runs into the bishop after she's been making some plans with Corinne. And she tells her that the bishop tells May that things didn't go too well with the meditation because the bishop and Jeffries don't see the eye to eye on this homosexual matter. The bishop doesn't believe that Aaron is going to change and that he was born gay. But May is shocked and appalled that the bishop doesn't see anything wrong with Aaron's lifestyle and tells him that he should be more sympathetic towards Jeffries and not Aaron, and says that Aaron is not Faith, their daughter Faith. She said, he's not your daughter Faith. And this hurts his feelings. In other words, it's like you ain't got to try to save him, all right? This hurts his feelings, but then she apologizes to him for that. May tells the bishop that she's going to tell Charity what's going on before she hears it in the street. So she's going to let Charity know that Kevin is in a relationship with Aaron, okay? So Jacob is in Triumph Sanctuary, taking it all in, the vastness of it. He can't believe that this is his church now. That Brittany Weaver child shows up, okay? And she shows up to warn him not to spend too much money so fast because remember now she's the treasurer. And she don't want him to spend all the money integrating his Real Church program, you know, shuttling the people in, the homeless people, because it won't look too good to the public. So she sternly tells him that he can take her advice or leave it. I mean, she's real short and nasty, and she's forgetting that he could fire her if he wants to. But you can tell there's something up with her because she's not talking to Jacob right, all right? She tells him, you can take my advice or leave it. He agrees to take her advice into consideration. She accepts that, but she walks off. You could tell she was pissed off a little bit, okay? Because she was apparently used to doing what she wanted, and I wonder if her and Basie had some type of relationship, but it's going to come out. It's something, okay? So Aaron goes to see Charity at her office to apologize to her because May has already told her what's up with Kevin, all right? And to tell her how bad he feels and that he's ashamed. Charity goes off on him, tell her how bad Kevin feels and that he's ashamed for what he did. Charity goes off on Aaron She says she don't care how Kevin feels because he left his son and he was wrong for that. She chews Kevin out to a point where he has to leave or she's going to put him out. She asked him when he first got there, she says, how can I help you? Like he always asks her. She says that if she were a lesbian, she'd still be a mother. So she don't feel like Kevin had no excuse. And she's right. Kevin shouldn't have left his family. But see, Kevin was hurt because she didn't want him. That was the problem too. And like I said, I think Aaron is being used. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but I feel like he is. So she just goes off. She didn't want to hear nothing that Aaron said. All right. Clarissa walks into Tasha's old office to find 3 women in there gloating over Tasha and offering to be there in any way that she needs them to be, including staying at her house with her. Clarissa wants to talk and the ladies leave. So she invites Tasha to dinner at the parsonage. Tasha gladly accepts. A lady interrupts and comes and asks for the first lady. When she says first lady, both Clarissa and Tasha said yes, but see, she was talking to Tasha. That was a real awkward moment, okay? So Jeffries is still trying to convince Aaron to change. He even brings up his mom that left, saying that it was good that she didn't have to know that she was gay. So Aaron's mama left them. She ain't dead. She just left. But Aaron tells her that she did know. And he was like, when did you tell her? Oh, that's a lie. He said, no, I told her that I was gay when I was 13. And the mama told Aaron not to tell Jeffries because she knew he couldn't handle it. So, of course, I'm sure Jeffries felt betrayed at that point. So Aaron accuses Jeffries of sleeping around with his mom, which is no better. And he also tells him that he knows about him and Lady May and that he slept with a lot of women behind his mother's back. Okay, Jeffrey denies it because he doesn't know that Aaron knows about him and May. All right. So at the cotillion rehearsal, Zora is alone. Sophia is with her man. Zora sees Sam with some girl. He's the boy that Sophia tried to set her up with and says that she should have been the DJ. And says that she should have been the DJ at this party, okay? Isaiah finally shows up all late because we know he loves attention. And he was acting like he was drunk to me. I can't stand that little boy. Anyway, he gets there. Zora is so disgusted with him that he got on shades and she makes him take them off. He's very rowdy with her. And while they're dancing, he starts trying to show out with fancy dance moves. He gets scolded by the trainer and everybody's looking at him. Eventually, Isaiah starts getting fan attention from the girls there and he was taking pictures with a bunch of groupies at the cotillion while Zora looks on with Sophia and her boyfriend. Isaiah finally joins them and Sophia goes in on him about showing out and checks him on how you're supposed to act at a cotillion. Zora co-signs with Sophia about the groupies and tell him he needs to cut it with the groupies, okay? But Isaiah gets mad and feels like Zora is taking Sophia's side because he's such a spoiled, ignorant brat. And she tries to talk to him while he acts like a brat, and he reminds her that she's smashing him. They go outside. She follows him outside. They get into this argument. He reminds her that she's having sex with him and not anybody else. They get into this push and pull where he grabs her real hard and he pushes her into a pole. He hurts her back a little bit and he makes her upset. And then, of course, like every abuser, he starts apologizing and begging her to forgive him, talking about he's never going to do it again. Yet he was blaming her for his problems and promising her that he'll never hurt her at the same time. She falls for the okie doke, okay? Just dumb. So then you see the bishop helping May take off her necklace in the bedroom. The bishop tells her about how Aaron alleged that Jeffries had been unfaithful to his mom with several women. May gets nervous and seems to feel some type of way about the fact that Jeff had more women than just her. She was the side piece, but she thought she was the only side piece that he had. So Bishop wanted to know if she knew about it since she was good friends with his mom. And she said no. She had been because we know she had been one of his mistresses. May said that Aaron is just making up stories to try and deflect or take the attention off of himself. So at dinner that night, at Jacob's, Tasha tells Jacob about Brittany, that Basie called her the Duchess. Tasha doesn't like her because she likes things her way and she has something against the homeless. Remember now, there's Tasha, Jacob, and Clarissa all having dinner, okay? Tasha let him know she don't like the Duchess, this Brittany girl, the treasurer, because she likes things her way and she has something against homeless people. She don't like nasty homeless people, okay? In which she's going to say that in the last episode. Clarissa thinks that Brittany is right about Jacob needing to wait to bring the homeless people too. Remember, Clarissa kind of bougie too. Tasha offers to talk to Brittany for Jacob. She's on his side and can't wait to let Brittany have it and gets her in check. But Clarissa shuts her down because she said, we don't need you to do that. She wants Tasha to stay in her new place. This kind of startles and upsets Tasha. She gets quiet and sad and says that she's missing Basie. She gets sad, but she tells him it's not them. Basically, Carissa had been checked her at this table and told her, stay in your lane. Don't be talking to nobody for us. We'll talk to her. She don't want Tasha taking sides with Jacob on the homeless issue, okay? She gets upset and sad, but she tells Clarissa it's not about what she just said. She says she misses Basie, which is true. She does miss him, and she hopes he's safe out there in them streets. So Jacob grabs her hand to show her some compassion. Jacob don't want her, but he was just showing her a little bit of compassion. He grabs her hand. Clarissa seems perplexed. She didn't seem jealous or upset. She just seemed perplexed at that moment, okay? So then you see Darius. Darius done cooked this big dinner for Gigi back at his place. Gigi starts asking him what his plans for the future are, his 5-year plan. And he tells her he wants to write a book about his experiences in Afghanistan. He wants to own some property one day, bigger than the property that he's in now. She asks him if he wants kids. He said he's fine without them. So the conversation gets more intimate and romantic. Gigi asks him if he's sure that he doesn't want kids. Apparently she wants another child. But he tells her that he wants her, and whatever she wants, that's what he wants. Eventually they start kissing and it gets all romantic, and the next thing you know, she done let her guard down and she getting up the cookies, okay? She gave him the cookies. I was like, okay, Pastor Greenleaf, Pastor Gigi. So next thing you know, you see May, the bishop, Jacob, Clarissa, Charity, and Lionel are all at dinner at the Greenleaf house. Charity is making new arrangements for who's going to babysit little Nathan while she's on tour. She decided to use May's maid for only 2 weeks and Tamara Mann's nanny for the rest of the time. But May is not hearing it. She doesn't like the idea of Charity allowing strange people to keep her baby. So Charity tells May that Carlton is available to lead praise and worship while she's gone, because May was like, who's going to lead praise and worship? She says, well, Carlton can do it. Okay? But of course, Lady May ain't hearing that. She don't like the idea of Carlton being a gay man coming back to their church leading no praise and worship. So May goes off about the pickle that Kevin has left her in. But Jeffries apologized for starting all this trouble by telling Kevin's secret and how he's broken God's law. And he's talking about homosexuality. But May throws it back at Jeffries, because remember now, she done found out about the other women and she mad. So she throws it back at him, talking about which law are we talking about, adultery and all this kind of stuff. And she's mad about that. And all this time she going off on Jeffries, the bishop is sitting there looking perplexed, like, what's going on here? Why is she so mad with Jeffries? May attacks him, like I said, and she waxed biblical on him at this point. So the bishop, once again, is perplexed about her level of animosity towards Lionel Jeffries. May starts telling Charity that she should never allow any man, she's getting drunk at this point, any man, and she points at the bishop and at Jeffries, and to dictate her happiness. So May keeps drinking and getting drunk and drunker. She told me, you shouldn't let no man dictate your happiness, all right? So it was a real ugly moment. The bishop knew something was up. I knew at that moment the bishop ain't stupid. He knows something up. He know Lady May, so something had to be going on. So after dinner, May finds Jeffries in the library because the bishop had left to go check on something, and she confronts him about these other women. He admits it, but claims that she meant the most to him. She ain't bad. She said, Negro, please. She goes off on Jeffries like he was the only one wrong in the situation, claims that she was going to leave her husband and her family for him, like that was his fault. Jeffrey goes off on her, reminds her that she's no saint. The bishop wasn't no saint. Her brother wasn't no saint. Talking about Max, she reminded him that she's a rapist. She said, and he blames her sissy son-in-law, talking about Kevin, for making his son gay, when in reality, Aaron was the one that made the move on Kevin. He just doesn't know it, but he blames Kevin for making the move and turning Aaron into a sissy. He tells her to close her mouth when she goes off on him, and May slaps him and calls him small and tells him that he's nothing and throws him out and tells him he's taking up space where a man should be. And she told him don't ever come back into her life. I mean, it was an ugly, heated moment. If anybody had walked in on that, they would have been really shocked. Okay? So the next thing you see is Carissa at home in the bed when Jacob comes home feeling real frisky. She asks him if he's open to moving Tasha to a new office, the one he used to have, because she wants to be right next to her own husband, which is, really the right thing to do, okay? But Jacob tells her that she is the first lady because she wants to remind everybody, Tasha included, she don't want nobody to forget that she the first lady. Jacob tells her everybody knows that you're the first lady and they're not going to forget. She's like, I'm not so sure. Apparently, she's feeling a little bit insecure. So Jacob hushes her up, tells her to slow her roll, and then he gets in the bed and he pleasures her. So they've been real frisky here lately, all right? So the next day, the bishop walks Jeffries to his car because he's leaving. He's leaving in a haste because of that argument him and Lady May have. He tried one last time to convince Jeffries, the bishop did, to make amends with Aaron. But Jeffries promises him that he's going to try. He told the bishop to tell Lady May that he was sorry. And the bishop was like, for what? He said, for not saying goodbye, because he was leaving in a hurry. The bishop has a perplexed look again. And at this point, I knew that the bishop suspected something was going on. Y'all, I know I was rambling, but this particular episode was all about Kevin's secret being out, him and Aaron going together. It looks like Jeffries and Lady May having a showdown about their relationship in the past and about the fact that the bishop knows something is going on. He just don't know the details yet. And it's getting ugly. It's beginning to get ugly. These decisions that's got to be made at Triumph concerning Tasha and Carissa, and little petty decisions, but nonetheless, Carissa thinks that they are important. Isaiah being abusive to Zora, and she just falling for his mess every time he begs her to come back. I mean, not to leave him and all of that. Charity trying to get off, still trying to make arrangements to go on this tour because she wants to be with Jabari. That's really what this is all about, all right? So anyway, that is episodes 13 and 14. I know I rambled you guys, but y'all put some comments down there for me and fill me in, because there's a lot of stuff that I left out, but I did want to talk about what was going on because it's going to lead me up to episodes 15 and 16, all right, which I'm going to put in another video because this one is long enough. All right, talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.